Every day that the Democrats keep the government shut down is creating more and worse consequences for the American people. The White House estimates that it's costing our economy about $15 billion a week to continue to have the government shut down, but it's not just our economy. It's American families, the American people who are paying the price. The program funding for the WIC program, Women's, Infants, and Children program, was about set to expire. I think the White House is trying to figure out a way to move resources around to be able to keep that program up and funded. Telehealth, hospital at home, programs like that have expired, meaning that hospitals are losing and patients are losing their flexibility and making it harder to cover the people who need to be covered. And then, of course, the this week paychecks start being affected for federal workers, and that is going to have real consequences for them and their families as well. So this shutdown continues to create more and more problems, and the Democrats are going to get another chance. They've already voted 5 different times now to keep the government shut down and against opening up the government, which we have from our colleagues in the House, a clean funding resolution, which is nonpartisan, something that 13 previous occasions during the Democrats' majority here in the Senate and the Biden presidency, almost all Democrats voted for, all 13 times. This is a fairly routine thing that happens down here, it happens around here on a regular basis. So instead, what they've tried to do is hijack this to get $1.5 trillion in new spending. And that's just, there's no universe in which that's going anywhere around here. This is a very simple and straightforward proposition. The Democrats want to have a conversation about the COVID tax credit cliff that they created. And at some point, we're happy to have that conversation, but not until the government opens up. Again, the consequences for the American people are very real, and this just has to stop. And it could stop today. We have the bill in front of us. It's in the Senate. House has passed it and supported it. President is ready to sign it into law. Could do it today. All we have to do is pick it up off the desk, as you all know. And if there are a handful of Democrats, a few more Democrats who are willing to vote with us, we can get this government opened up again and limit the impact and the effect that it has, the consequences, the adverse consequences on the American people. I'm glad to welcome our colleague, the leader of the House of Representatives, my partner, Speaker Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Leader Thune. I appreciate you inviting me to the Senate lunch today. That happened within the last hour, and I visited with my colleagues over here on this side and affirmed to them that we are all 100% united, and it's a good position to be in. When the facts and the truth are on your side, it's easy to present and defend that to the public. The President is united with us as well. He knows that we are doing the right thing for the right reasons at the right time. The House passed the continuing resolution. It was clean, and you all know we've been saying this every day. Now, entering, I guess, the end of the first week of the Democrat shutdown, there's no reason for them to have done that. The CR was completely clean. It was 24 pages in length, and it is the bare minimum to keep the lights on so that government can continue to work for the people. Real pain is being felt by real people around this country because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats over here are playing political games. We all know the reasons why. They have selfish motivations because they're trying to cover themselves for their left flank. In my press conference this morning on the other side, in the other chamber, I mentioned that Chuck Schumer has been in Washington for 44 years. He began his congressional career when I was in 3rd grade. I was 9 years old when he came to this building. And ever since he came here, throughout his career, he has been a fierce advocate for never closing down the government. I mean, he gave impassioned speeches most recently as 7 months ago in March of this year, when he stood before the cameras and he gave an impassioned speech on the Senate floor saying that it would be dangerous and destructive and terrible to close down the government, that he had to do the right thing. Right after he took that vote, he went on to the national media. He did a big interview on CNN, I think with Jake Tapper, and he said, "I'm proud of my vote. I know I did the right thing." What changed? What changed? Nothing's changed except his political calculation. He's afraid that a Marxist is going to challenge him in his reelection because Marxism is in vogue in New York City, apparently, and he represents the state of New York. They're going to elect a Marxist for mayor. It's a shocking development, and I think it's shocking to Chuck Schumer as well. Nothing he factored in when he came here in 1981, but that is the political winds now. And so he's playing games, the American people's livelihoods and their actual lives. This is not a game. Leader Thune just mentioned, this gets very real. Checks to our troops will be held up October 15th if they don't come in here tomorrow and vote to reopen the government. You have to get it resolved by October 13th, which is Monday, in order to process those checks. I come from a big military district. I have Barksdale Air Force Base. The Home Global Strike Command is there. I have Fort Polk, the Joint Readiness Training Center. We have young airmen and soldiers deployed around the world right now defending our freedom. And they've left their young families at home. They're dependent upon that check on October 15th. And some of them, sadly, also rely upon WIC funding, Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Programs. That's suspended as well. Why? Because Chuck Schumer wants to play political games. I do not understand it. I hope every journalist here listening today will go and demand him to do the right thing. Ask him the question, why are you doing it? He has no justification. They have created a distraction. They're trying to pretend this is about a end of the year policy decision on health care, and it is not. It's a clean, simple CR. Let's keep the government open so that we can do this work and continue those debates. Again, thank you, Leader Thune, for your leadership, and I'm sure you'll take a few questions.
Yeah. Questions? What's that?
Lawyers, the top lawyer, the on the 2019 statute on back pay. He says it's not guaranteed for federal workers that were impacted here. And President Trump followed that up, saying that it wasn't certain that all the employees would get back pay. Have you taken a look at that memo? What's your
I haven't looked at the memo specifically yet. My assumption is that furloughed workers will get back pay. But that being said, this is very simple. Open up the government, and this is a non-issue. We don't have to have this conversation. Everybody gets paid when the government is open. The Democrats can do it by delivering a handful of votes this afternoon. We could go in there and we could open up this government. The president's ready to sign it into law, as the speaker pointed out. If that doesn't happen, there are a lot of really bad things that happen to the American people. And there are going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be getting paychecks. And you know, he mentioned our troops. That is something that becomes a reality starting next week.
Speaker Johnson. Your strategy over the weekend was to convince these 5 Democrats to suddenly vote. That strategy appears to have failed. You voted Friday. You had failed votes last night. Why weren't you able to convince them to change their position?
I think there are a lot of Democrats who are being bludgeoned by their political left, and because they desperately want to pick a fight with this president. This is something, as we said earlier, that 13 different occasions Democrats in the Senate voted for when they had the majority and President Biden was in the White House. And you have to ask yourself the question, what's changed? What's changed is the President of the United States is now President Trump. And so this is all about politics. But I think they're under enormous pressure from their political left. I think they're under enormous pressure from their leadership. But they're going to have to be some brave souls who are courageous enough to come out and deliver the votes to open up the government. When they do that, all these questions and these bad consequences and things that are being talked about here go away.
Speaker Johnson, there was a moment earlier this year, you swore in 2 Republican members during the pro forma session. So why not swear in Arleta Grijalva, who was elected 2 weeks ago during the pro forma session? Does it have to do with her 218th signature on the discharge petition, the Epstein discharge petition?
No, it has nothing to do with that at all. We will swear her in when everybody gets back. It's a ceremonial duty. Look, we'll schedule it, I guess, as soon as she wants. It has nothing to do with it. We're in pro forma session because there is nothing for the House to do. The House has done its job. People say, why don't you do more? Let's do more. Now you should do something. We already did something. It was passing a clean CR. We did it over 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, and we sent it over here. This should have been a simple traditional thing that's been done. This is customary. There's nothing new under the sun. And in fact, it's exactly the same thing that Chuck Schumer voted for in March. So the House will get back to our normal order and doing our job as soon as he votes to reopen the government, because real people's lives are hanging in the balance right now. This is not a joke. It is beyond me that they're going to continue to dig their heels in and resist this. And I think the American people increasingly are going to let them know that. I was looking at a morning consult poll this morning. The needle is moving. More and more Americans are looking at the facts, and they're determining that it is indeed the Democrats who are responsible for this. Republicans are voting over and over and over to open the government. The president is pleading with them, open the government. And Chuck Schumer and 43 of his colleagues here in the Senate The Democrats refuse to do it. I think it's shameful, and I think they're going to have a lot to answer for, and I don't know how much longer they'll be able to withstand this pressure, but we'll keep doing our job.
Johnson, a question, please. I know you said the House has done its job. However, military members are going to be missing a paycheck on October 15th. Critical air traffic controllers are already missing from the job in some areas.
Yeah.
Would you be open to pay for members of the military and air traffic controllers as an emergency measure in the next week or so, or 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're monitoring it day by day. I'm certainly open to that. We've done it in the past. We want to make sure that our troops are paid. I have colleagues like Congresswoman Jen Kiggins of Virginia, who has a big military district. She's already filed legislation to pay our troops. We're looking forward to processing all this as soon as we gather everybody back up. But again, the most immediate thing is turn the lights back on here and keep Congress working so we can take care of all this important business.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, you don't need that. You don't need to. Obviously, there are certain constituencies, many of whom are going to be impacted in a very negative way by what's happening here. But the simplest way to end it is not try to exempt this group or that group or that group. It's to get the government open, and then all the consequences, adverse consequences of this, go by the wayside. One more.
As you mentioned, it is a law that federal workers who are furloughed get back pay. What is the president talking about then when he's suggesting that some groups may not get paid? Is that even allowed?
I don't know the answer to your questions. I haven't seen their legal analysis, but again, my assumption is that furloughed workers will get back pay. But the broader question here is the answer to everything right now is open up the government. Then these issues they're non-issues. And, you know, if you're sitting down there and the government's been shuttered and you're having to make decisions about, you know, where to prioritize funding, which department, which agency, which set of employees gets furloughed, which don't, which are essential, which aren't. Those are decisions that you have to make when you've got a government that's been shut down. And this government has been shut down by Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats. And it can open up today. And then every one of those questions becomes an irrelevant question because we'll have a functioning government and everybody will get paid as they should. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to keep the House out through the rest of the shutdown?